Hey guys, it's Spear here. Welcome to another Archetype 101, where I give you a quick overview of TCG archetypes. No deck list, no strategies, just a quick overview on what an archetype is trying to do and the core cards within that engine. But this one's going to be a little different. So to round out set 8, we actually have 2 last leaders. But they're not really archetypes. They have a couple of support cards that work alongside them in the set, but in reality is when we're talking about Beerus and Goku and Pan, they're both really just generic red-yellow leaders that will build around red-yellow decks. And they're really good, and there are a lot of cards that are red-yellow that work for other archetypes that work really well here. But at no point would I be willing to call this an archetype, because in reality they only have 2 to 3 cards really supporting these specific leaders, and there's no real engine to speak of outside of what the leader's trying to do itself. So we're going to separately take a quick look at Beerus, and then we're going to take a quick look at Goku and Pan just to give a quick idea of what they do. But in reality, we're more so going to be talking about what the leader does, because that's really where the heart is. These are generic, so anything that's within the realm of red, yellow, good stuff is completely playable by these cards, plus any other generic type of archetype there is. So very quick, we're going to do the lore of one, look at the cards of one, specifically Beerus, and then we're going to look at Goku and Pan, and then we're going to round it out at the end. So jumping into Beerus, he first showed up in Dragon Ball Super, specifically the movie Battle of Gods, and then, when they just redid the whole movie as part of the series, which kind of pain in the ass. He is Universe 7's God of Destruction. Every single universe in Dragon Ball has both a God of Destruction and a Supreme Kai. It's kind of like the balance between life and death, whereas Supreme Kai is supposed to harbor life and move the universe more progressively forward. Gods of Destruction destroy planets so that new planets can be built. He was actually the one who made the call to destroy Planet Vegeta. He always kind of had a disdain for Saiyans because they showed lack of respect. They are very arrogant. As much as Beerus comes off as an asshole, he's a very polite dude. The way he talks is very upscaled. He thinks very highly of himself and presents himself as such. But yeah, so he's the one who actually made the order to Frieza to destroy the planet. Frieza being one of his agents of destruction, because turns out Beerus is pretty lazy. He's also the one who sealed old Supreme Kai in the sword after they had an argument. Beerus is pretty petty, and he can't just go off and destroy the realm of the Supreme Kais. So instead, he sealed him in a sword to leave Gohan to have to unseal him, hundreds of millions of years later. And finally, he finds Earth on his search for the Super Saiyan God. The entire reason of Beerus' existence is actually Dragon Ball Super, as a series, as a movie initially. And it was to provide another way for Goku to go further. He has a dream. He sees himself fighting someone really powerful and then goes on to search for him, finds Earth. We all know how the movie happens. And that was his essential initial motivation. Now he pretty much just hangs around as a comical relief character and kind of like a plateau of where Goku has to surpass that was never really there beforehand in the show. Now that we have the quick 101 on the lore, let's look at the leader really quickly. So Beerus says, once per turn, choose 1 red or yellow card in your hand, place in your drop, draw 2 cards. Having a draw that's not associated with attacking makes your leader actually really flexible, because it means you can opt in to play the aggressive game if you want to, or you can opt in to not play the aggressive game and play the longer control game, and you're not going to get punished through card advantage by choosing one or the other, which makes it really flexible and really powerful. Then when your life is at 4 or less, choose 2 of your energies, switch them up, and then we flip the leader. And then on his flip side, he has Activate Main for red and yellow. You get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. That's great. Board control and leader is super essential. It's actually one of the reasons why my favorite leader is the Ramp Gogeta, just because I love having that flexibility on the leader to be able to say, nope, you're not going to play that. Nope, you're not going to play that. I don't want to see that right now. And leans into a control aspect directly from your leader, meaning that it saves up slots in the deck because you have removal right there. Then he has Activate Battle once per turn. Choose one of your red, yellow, multicolor cards in your drop, and then combo with it. Now this is huge, because first off, that means you're getting free combo for arrivals, but every turn. It's not specific to just Beerus' attack, which makes it really flexible because it means if you want to punch in with a self-awakening critical attacker, well, now you can do it for 25k for free, plus all the awakened stuff. It makes them really energy efficient. It means you can get your plays off really easily. And if there's ever multicolored cards that have abilities, like I think there's a baby one that allows you to shuffle back 2 cards and then draw 2 more. That's really flexible. So it gives you a lot of different options to do what you want. Now, if we go look at like the in archetype, there's no real end game. That's why I more call it a support section, because in reality, this isn't an archetype. There's a couple of cards that would go well with the strategy, but nothing specific that says like, okay, here's like a set of 10 to 20 cards that are meant for this archetype to work. We already have a ton of arrival stuff that give us reasons to play the deck, regardless of the fact that there's not a big archetype around it, making it a really good generic leader. This Beerus No Holds Barred is actually one example of that. So he has arrival for red yellow, and it costs red and yellow. And then when you play it, you get to either choose to KO a card that has 30k power or less, or if that has barrier, you can just choose to have it be frozen for 1 whole turn. Really flexible card. It's got 25k power. It's going to be able to punch in when you need it to. These kinds of Shugesh Explosive Goku effects are always super powerful. They force your opponent to have to play around it. And you're going to be able to get the arrival for free, or at least the combo for free, which not only helps you defend, it could help you pop another card. There's so many applications to the Activate Battle that it gives cards like these so much flexibility and just make them so much easier. We also have Whis, Godly Fundamentals. He's just a Self-Awakener. Activate main, you get to set him to drop, and you can either choose to take a life, and then you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards, give it minus 5k. Good to get rid of silver bullets. Those are always super annoying, and they just help the deck self-awaken. And other than that, it's just, nothing crazy, but it's decent. There's a couple of other 1 or 2 Beerus cards that say, like, if you have a multicolor energy, it costs cheaper. But those aren't really highlight cards that I feel like I need to post them up. And for the most part, that's really it for Beerus. You have the amazing leader, which gives you that great flexibility for being able to rival anything. So if you have a red-yellow strategy that you feel doesn't fit in with any of the archetype-specific leaders, there's no reason not to run Beerus. And because of the way he draws cards and because of the way his activates work, you can either be control or you can be aggro, meaning that it lets you really push the boundaries in terms of skills for the deck, and the better player should be the one to stand on top when playing in a mirror, let's say. That gives us Beerus. So now we're going to take a look at Pan. First off, her lore. I'm not going to go delve deep into who Pan is. It is important to distinct that this is GT Pan. There are 2 different Pans. GT Pan is the non-canon, and then there's the typically blue Pan that we keep seeing from like Super and the end of Z. Like I said, this one comes from DragonBall GT. She's the daughter of Gohan and Videl, and this makes her a quarter Saiyan. Gohan being a half Saiyan and Videl being a full human. She sneaks onto the spaceship with Trunks and Goku, and that's how she ends up part of the GT adventure to go through space and find the Black Dragon Balls. And she's actually the one who helped calm down Golden Great Ape Goku, which allowed him to achieve Super Saiyan 4 form. So if anything, she's the catalyst to Goku achieving that form and then eventually overcoming Baby, which makes her really important in the plotline. Personally, I think she's kind of annoying. She plays your typical character role of being hypersensitive emotionally, meaning that any small thing actually propagates to this really big thing that it doesn't need to. But either way, fan favorite, probably also due to her red card. That's like her red leader card. That's amazing. But that's the quick trivia on Pan. When we do leaders consistently, like if I will constantly get leaders like Goku and Pan and stuff like that, I'll try and add more trivia tidbits than your generic, who's this person? But since it's my first time touching on Pan, I'm just going to cover, generically, why is she here? So now let's take a look at her leader. So her front side is a Son Goku and Pan. And actually, you're going to see on the Awakened side that it's actually just one of them. She has an Activate main. You get to choose 2 cards in your life and add them to your hand. And then choose up to 1 of your battle cards, and it gets double strike for the duration of the turn. This works great in conjunction with critical cards. It's very generically good. It's also great to be able to have double strike pressure that's not coming from the Awakened side. It means that it comes out early and also in a much more flexible fashion than a lot of things that give double strike are usually on the Awakened side. Now, that said, her Awakening is different. It's one of those Awakened 2 leaders similar to, I believe it's a starter deck, Baby, where it says when you're at 2 life, you get to draw 2 cards, untap 2, and then you get to flip her over. And then on our flip side, it's just a Goku. So be careful. There's some cards that will specify Pan from time to time. Just make sure that that'll only work with the front side of the card. So this backside, just straight up double strike. And activate main. Once per turn, you get to choose 1 card in your life, add it to your hand, and switch this card tactic mode. So it's a finisher right on a leader. There's nothing complicated about it. You're going to be able to go for game with this pretty consistently, or at least attempt to go for game. One thing to note, however, is that his activate main says choose 1 life, add it to your hand, and switch this card tactic mode. So in reality, he has dual attack, but please be careful. You have 2 life when you awaken, which means if you're using that, you're going down to 1 life. You better hope you're going for game, because you're probably going to die next turn if you don't. So it's a very balls to the wall type strategy. It leans a bit more aggressive than, let's say, Beerus when we're talking about generic leader, but it's still just a generic leader. There's nothing really crazy that goes with this archetype that would force me to want to run this leader. It's just more so if you want to run in a more aggressive leaning yellow leader that plays around with some red yellow cards. Cards like that could specifically be things like this Super Saiyan 3 Goku. When you play this card, draw 1 card, and then he has an activate main, and it's basically just a searcher. So look at the top 5 for either a Pan or a Son Goku GT. That Son Goku GT actually is that one. This one is searchable by this 1-drop, and it has triple strike, offering again. So when you play this card, your opponent can either crit a life or allow you to draw 2 cards. And the way you get to cheat them out is when you awaken, you can choose 1 of your red battle cards with 25k or more and send it to the drop. If you do that, you get to play for free if there isn't already one in play in your battle area. In a deck like Pan, where you're trying to be aggressive, you're giving double strike to all these things, you're trying to probably rush down your opponent and then go for this big kill turn, a card like this is perfect. He's potentially 4 damage, or he's triple strike that just gave you 2 cards. And that decision for offering isn't going to be super easy for your opponent because you're going to be rushing him down most likely, giving double strike to this, giving double strike to that, and really trying to punch through. And then here you go, you get to untap 2 energy, you draw 2 cards, potentially 4, get rid of whatever's already attacked. So that could be really honestly anything, because red has tons of cards within the 25k range that you'd want to get rid of. Get a free triple striker, and then essentially get a second breath to your turn where you can try and kill them. This alongside having double strike on the front side, having dual attack if you pay 1 life. So it has a lot of closeout potential. But that's really about it in terms of like this synergy with the Pan leader itself. That's really all there is to it. The rest of the deck is as you see fit. It could be just typical yellow mid-range. It could be red mid-range. Usually you want to run a mix of red-yellow so that you can include this card in there because it's really powerful. But besides that, that's really about it. These, I won't even call them mini archetypes. They're really just generically good cards are the last things we have from set 8. I think they're really good. I think Beerus is actually insane. But that's really about it in terms of set 8 and what these strategies present to us. And that covers all of set 8. Thank you so much for following me on this journey, covering all of the leaders from set 8 coming up to the release of the new set. I look forward to making more Archetype 101s. I do want to continue the series. I believe it's a great resource for new players to ramp into the game and give them an idea of what the game's all about, and even older players who don't have the time to go through every single archetype and prepare for a tournament or when they want to find something new to play. Therefore, I'll be keeping the series alive. However, I think the upload schedule might tone it down from like every day of the week. So I'm going to make a separate video talking about how this series is going to live on, plus some other new tidbits in terms of content coming to the channel. So thanks for being here with me. I love making this. If you liked it, feel free to give a thumbs up. If you didn't, go ahead and give it a thumbs down. If you like my type of content and any new stuff I might be coming out with soon, feel free to hit the subscribe button. And till then, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.